Alright, so today what we're going to start with is fetching a user. And this is for when we're fetching the question and the responses. So I would like to know who the user that wrote the response and who the user that wrote the question. And what kind of goes with that is we're going to be adding Dataloader, and we're going to be adding that in conjunction with fetching the replies. So we're going to use Dataloader to fetch the replies, and we're going to use Dataloader to load the users across all that. And then we're going to be adding syntax highlighting. We're going to be using something called Prism. So that's this library over here. And this is just for adding syntax highlighting to our code that we're rendering on the screen. So here's an example of what that looks like. And then we're basically going to do some different Prism stuff to like style the code. We're going to add line numbers to the side and then have chunks of code highlighted. And so that's the goal for today. And today we will just start with the fetching of users. And this is actually, I believe, a pretty easy step for us to implement on our server side because we already have the user stored here. We just need to add it to our GraphQL schema, which we can do by adding a field. And here I just need to tell GraphQL what the type of the user is. And here I'm passing in the user entity. And this is in the code review question entity. We also want to do this in the question reply entity. And both of them, we called it creator, so that's why I have creator there and creator there. Both of them have a many-to-one relationship to it. And now what that allows us to do is we can now query it. And it's going to be automatically fetched for us too, so that's why we don't have to change our resolver. Oh, you know what? I haven't actually seen what it looks like to do Dataloader with type GraphQL. I couldn't remember if there's something special they have. We'll see that in a second. Yeah, okay. So we have a fragment for it right here, and here is our replies. So now we can just say creator. And this is another place where we can add a fragment because we're going to add a creator here. We're also going to add a creator in our replies. And we also have a creator, or really a user, when we fetch with me. So I'm going to say user info. Whoops. Copy this fragment as kind of like template. And I'm just going to grab all the things that we're grabbing with the me query. And we'll just kind of use that for now as the thing that we use everywhere until there's some special fields that we want. And here you can see we're using multiple fragments in this query. That's totally fine. We just add multiple templates at the bottom, and then we just do ... multiple times. The other thing is I don't think we need to grab the creator ID anymore since we're going to be grabbing the creator. So we'll go ahead and just remove that particular field. And now that we did that, every time we make a change to this stuff, we have to regenerate. And that's pretty much it. Now we can actually access it in our code. I think in our pages folders where we're actually rendering it. Nope, it's in code file. And we should be looping somewhere. Here's our loop. So now I can actually like display like a little gravatar or an image of who wrote this if I wanted to. All right, and then we can see me a bunch of times. We could make it really small if we wanted to. And now I can see who the user did there. We could also do the same thing for the question. I think what I'm going to do right now is just have the username, because I don't think there's really a need to display the image right now. Whenever we actually build the UI and the design for what the responses look like, then we can add like a picture as long as we have the data there. I don't really need to load just the image for testing right now. All right, and we can do the same thing for the questions here. And I'm just going to add bars on the side so I know that this is the username. And let's add $signs. All right, so here is the username for this question. Here's the username for this question. Well, I guess this is a response and this is a question. And this looks like total nonsense right now. But that's it. So we are now fetching a user for a response and for a question. Hi, that calls for a component with name, avatar, and date. I agree. I think that's a good idea. I think we will be adding that shortly. I don't think we have, we haven't built out a mock-up of what we want this part to look like, I don't think. So we'll need to do that first. And I agree, splitting out in a component, because we're gonna pretty much want to reuse that across these two. For both questions and replies, probably a similar base format. So let's commit our code. And all right, so let's talk about batch loader versus data loader. So I was looking at this one. Mainly I was looking at it because it just says it's written in TypeScript and we're using TypeScript. Data loader already has TypeScript types that are pretty good and I've used them before. So I was curious what this thing had to offer over data loader. And so I don't really think this is a particular plus. In this case, you could say it's a plus that it's written in TypeScript that's maybe more safe. But we, as a end user, we get the same stuff because they're types generated or someone created for the data loader one. This is kind of interesting. I guess I wasn't aware that data loader doesn't filter out duplicate keys. I kind of feel like it does, so I'm not really sure what he was talking about with this point. It has the same API as data loader. That's kind of like doesn't matter for that point. Smaller size is nice. I'll give it a plus for that. I don't see myself really composing new loaders. I could see that being nice though. So that could be a nice thing. And then the one minus is it doesn't have caching functionality built in. And we want the caching functionality built in. So down here we can see you kind of can create your own cache. And I don't really want to set mine up for data loader. I want data loader to handle that for me. And so I didn't really see a big, I really saw the main reason to use batch loader was probably the smaller size was the biggest one. And so I'm going to not pick this and go with Dataloader. A, Dataloader is more popular than this batch-loader library, and 2, Dataloader comes with caching. So we want the caching, so we're just going to go with this. And I believe we do have to install a type separately though. Don't think it comes with. Nope, it comes with. So just half of Dataloader equal batch and cache. Yeah, the batch loader looks like it's primarily focused on batching and not the caching part. If we want the caching part, it looks like you have to add it in. And we want the caching part, so we're just going to pick the library that has both batching and caching. Alright, so we add it to our server. I don't know if Type GraphQL mentions Dataloader in their thing at all. Doesn't look like it. There's not really a special integration that we would need. I just couldn't remember if they had anything about it. So we're going to do it in like the way that we would normally add Dataloader if we weren't using Type GraphQL, and it's not going to be much different. So basically we need to create some loaders and then add them to the context. And I'm going to create a separate folder called loaders. Yeah, I think it's fine to create a loaders. So let's start with a user loader. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do a capital U on that. Nope, let's not. Alright, so we're going to import Dataloader. Alright, so it's telling me it has no default export. Usually I try this kind of import when it says that. Looks like it's working. Alright, so now we're going to create our function for handling this. And we could even just like write the function here, I think. I think I'm totally fine with that. So basically, I'm not sure if it has an example of what this looks like for us to base it off of. I kind of already know how to do it, so why don't we just go off of what I remember. So what keys is going to be is an array of IDs. And so basically all we want to do is fetch the users with those IDs. So we're going to just call typeworm and find all the users with the IDs that are given. So we're going to go look up how to do an array of IDs and look it up that way. And actually, I may remember. Or not that I may remember, I think there's a built-in that. So I was thinking we may have to use the query builder, the select query builder, which I think I've used in the past for this, but I think we may be able to do find by IDs. Find entities by IDs, optionally find options can be applied. So what I'm looking for here is, okay, so it's an array of IDs that we pass in. I wasn't sure if we do like IDs, pass it in like that, or if maybe we did this. Looks like we do this. going to make this asynchronous. And then at the end here, we just need to return users. Now the catch with Dataloader is we need to return it in the same order that keys comes in. Now I'm not sure if Typeform does this automatically for us with this find by IDs. We can try a quick search and see what it says. Say order. Return order maybe? Alright, I don't think we're going to get anything useful. What are you pretty sure of that it returns in the same order? Well, basically we're screwed if it's not returned in the same order, and there's really no guarantee that it is, or that it or that Typeform wants it to be that way, or like we'll keep it in the future. So just to be sure, we're going to make sure it's in the right order. In this case, what I like to do is I create what I call a user map, which the key is going to be a string, and then we're going to have a user be the value. Typeform is always returned in the same order. How do you know that? I guess we could just like log it a couple times and hope, but here's how we would do it if we wanted to confirm it. And then we're going to loop through each user, and we're just going to say user map user.id is equal to the user. And the reason why we set up this user map here is this will give us O of 1 lookups. Well, this is really in, there we go, O of n times O of 1, if you guys care about big O stuff. This should be an array of strings. That's the batch loader function. We're just going to override it right here. Okay. So we're looping through, which is going to be n time. And then for each loop, we are getting the value, or we're getting the user for a key, and that's going to be O of 1 lookup, because of my experience with the save method. Yeah, basically, like, it makes sense for Typeform to pass it back in the order, but I'm not sure that it does, and in that case, this is how I'm going to assure. This I can turn into like a little utility, I think, because I think we're going to use this for a couple different loadings, batch loadings. All right, so now we have user loader, new user loader. Actually, is that how I do it? Feels weird to say new. On a lowercase. All right. Ah, yes. Okay. All right, so we just need to make a function that returns a new data loader. All right. So we're just going to copy the type of that. And the reason for that is because we want to update the context type. All right, it is not importing. So now what we can do is we want to fetch the user in both of these places. In this resolver and the other resolver. Did we add a resolver field? I can't remember. No, we didn't. All right, we'll do resolver there, and we're gonna do a field resolver. Yeah, I just wanted to look up the syntax because I forgot it. All right, so this field resolver is going to return a user. This is going to be the creator. The root is going to have a question reply. Oops. And we also need to access the context. I forget the syntax. Actually, I don't need to look it up here. We use the syntax over here in our base one. It is CTX. Oh, we already had it imported. I was like, why is it? Oh, okay, so we're just not using it? That's what I was missing. All right, so now, very easy. We just say userloader.load, and we say question reply.creatorID. Now, funny thing is, we're gonna write this exact same resolver. In fact, I can copy and paste it over here. Field resolver, we're gonna pass in a user. We're gonna pass in a root. It's not gonna be question, now it's gonna be question, code review question. All right, there we go. So now the question is, should we just abstract this out and put it in our base resolver? So this is something that I'm not really sure the best way to do, because this resolver doesn't really have to do with creating code reviews or creating entities at all. I'm not really sure the best way in type GraphQL to have it extend multiple classes, because in type GraphQL, well, not type GraphQL, in TypeScript you can't extend multiple classes, I don't think. But I want to. So I think there's probably some way around it. I'll have to ask the creator and see what he says about it. For now, I'm going to put it inside of this base resolver though. So this abstract class. D asks, hey Ben, how are you? I'm doing good. We're doing some good stuff today. I think T is what we use here. Extending a function. I don't think it matters. I think we can just say any. Basically, we want to support something that extends, that has a creator ID. This entity is the third parameter. The entity is the third parameter, and we said the entity can be anything. So here what I'm going to say is entity type extends creator ID. I don't know if that works. Actually, we should say root there. We're going to say as any there. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work. What is the idea of extends type in TypeScript? So this is a generic. And we want to restrict the generic that the user passes in. And we want the generic to have a creator ID. The reason for that is we expect a creator ID down here. So it doesn't matter if you're doing a code review question, if we're doing a question reply, if we're doing something totally different, a chat message, all those things, the only thing I require of you is that you have a creator ID. We're gonna log the root also. I just want to see what this has. I don't think this is really gonna work out. I'm just gonna say any, and we're just not gonna have that type checking. Anyway, what this means for us is we don't need it here. All right, so type GraphQL saved us from writing this twice, which is nice. You need a base entity class. What do you mean by that? Oh, we haven't deleted some code. Looks like it crashed. So what's the difference between type function to any? I actually not sure what function is. We may be able to click on it and see. Here you go. Function is defined as an interface which has a read-only property string. I did not know that. Alright, so I think it crashed because this is still spinning. I'm not really sure why we're choosing to extend a function here. I'm not sure why type GraphQL has it there. I'm fine leaving it though. Oh, we just weren't able to hit the endpoint because no private object type decorator class base resolver. No private object type in the resolver. I think because in the resolver here we said is abstract, whereas here we pass in that, which is the entity. All right, let's see if that works. Okay, server started up. Seemed to work too. Seemed to load. Looks like it's working. I'm gonna remove the console log. And now the benefit of this is this particular statement, instead of all those queries, hopefully it should be less. And let's see if we can find it. In this case, we can see we have one select statement for the user. So it looks like there is a total of 4 SQL statements that we're running. We fetch the first question, then we fetch the replies for that question, and then we fetch the replies for that second question. We also fetch the user, which is a single query now. Alright, so we need a hierarchy of tree classes or interfaces where node classes would have what you want, maybe too complex. I definitely see it as working as something like we have different versions of these base resolvers. Like I would really like to split this up from this. I don't want those to be together, and then I want to be able to pick which one of these interfaces I extend, and be able to extend multiple of them. Cool. So let's do the same thing with this data loader stuff. So user loader. So now we're going to do question response loader. And basically what we're trying to solve with this, this should be reply, is we're doing 2 SQL statements. Replies. And guess what? This is going to be super duper simple. Well, not super duper simple, but super duper similar. Actually, no, it's not. It's going to be a little different. I thought we were going to do exact copy. I think we're doing it a little bit different. So now we're going to do question replies loader. So we're still going to take a array of keys, but this time the array of keys are going to be code review question IDs. So now here what we're going to do is we're going to get question response, question replies. And here we're going to say find, we're going to say where, and this is where we may need to do a query loader, or a query builder, I mean. Question ID is in keys. I think I can do it like that. And I think in is something I can import from Typeform. Cool. I think you cannot have multiple extends in TypeScript, but you have mix-ins. Exactly. So I'm not sure how you do mix-ins with TypeGraphQL, basically. Or I don't know if mix-ins would work with TypeGraphQL. Basically, I don't know with TypeGraphQL how I would achieve the same thing as multiple inheritance, or if there's currently a way for that. All right, so now this map is going to be slightly differently. This map we're going to say each one is going to be an array of question replies. Okay, maybe I should give that Stack Overflow a try and see if the extending of 2 classes using that method works with TypeGraphQL. That can be an experiment we can do at the end. All right, so we have this. I'm just going to call this QR map. So now we're going to check if the QR ID, no, QR dot question ID, I'm just going to call this reply. All right, so if this is in the QR map, then we say QR map reply dot question ID, and we're just going to push on this reply. Otherwise, we're going to create the map, or not the map, but the array. Now we do the same thing with our QR map. We haven't actually implemented this. I was just looking to see if the SQL, how many calls we had. I saw 2 and I was like, what happened? Because we're not actually using it yet. Why did I say question replies? I should just call this question reply loader. All right. All right, so now this is in our context. We only care to call this in one of these resolvers, so we're not going to put it in our base resolver. But we can copy the syntax. So it's called replies. All right, in here it's going to be a code review question is the root. And then we just load the ID. See if this restarts. Nice. All right, so this looks like the query that it's doing now. And we can see that now that's a single SQL query. Now we have 3 SQL queries instead of 4, and we're fetching 2 things at once. Here we can see the array 2 IDs that we're fetching. So 1 query to fetch the questions, 1 query to fetch the replies, and 1 query to fetch the users for all this. One thing you could also do is, instead of using Dataloader, doing joins, but we're going to go with Dataloader here. I just took a look at the post and I must say that the solution is not very pretty, but it should work. Yeah, I imagine it's going to be a little hacky if we were trying to multiple extend when the language doesn't support it. All right, so we are done with Dataloader. All right, so let's do some Prism stuff. So I've never worked with this before, so this is going to be interesting. And their little menu thing is not, I'm too zoomed in. So we're going to try doing the basic example here. So we're going to be doing the Webpack version since we're using Webpack. To make it easier to configure instance of only languages and plugins you need, you can use a Babel plugin. Well, we're actually going to be using every single language, so we will not be needing that. So now we're going to be doing stuff on the website. All right, so I'm importing it here, or installing it here. So we need to include both the CSS and the JS file. So how this example does it is it's using a link and script. Now for us, I was going to look up an example, but I think I know how I may be able to do this. So this is going to be on the repo page. So I'm going to add the import there. And I think what we need to do is like do Prism.js/themes. Like maybe that. Themes Prism CSS. So it may be this path. One way to find out is we can say node modules. Nope. It is like this. Have you tried Prism before? Themes. Yep, looks like this file exists. I mean, yeah, it does make sense to me. And then, do we just import it like this to get the JS version? So once we import both of those, we can add stuff to the code tag. We add a class name. All right, so we do pre, and then we have a code. And we're gonna have to replace what language it's being. Nice. So I see stuff. Let's try JSON. Nothing. No, JSON exists. It worked for CSS. And I think that what we do for this is this is going to be the language that we get the styling for. I think is the extension, so the file extension, I think. So the file extension is really going to be path.split, and we're going to just split by dots, and then we're going to get the very last one. If we don't have a path, I don't think we have to worry about this. Oh, pop. That's good. I like it. Yeah. I mean, the true test will be a JS file, or in our case, a TS. All right, it's definitely not working. Why did CSS work? That's what's interesting to me. We don't actually have any CSS files in this project. But that's a-okay. We can just go to what GitHub project would have so I was thinking that too, but it says right here we can do TypeScript or TS when it says here are the supported languages that you use, and you do language that. So I want to try doing a CSS one. So I need to think of a GitHub project that would include CSS, and I feel like Django would have you get the language from the query. Oh, are you talking about when I query GitHub? Can I actually get the language? I remember I was getting it for, I think I was getting it with Octolink for the entire project. I think Prism wants JavaScript, not JS. So it looks like it supports either of them. But like also we typed JSON, just hard-coded JSON in, and that was not highlighting. I'm just going to, well, we don't even have to log. I can just inspect and see. I can see language-ts, and it tells me right here that I can pass in TS. So I don't think the name is wrong. I think the style is wrong, and so that's why I want to see. The one that did work was CSS. So I want to pull up a project that has CSS somewhere. All right, so here's what syntax highlighting looks like on GitHub. Let's copy this URL. Actually, let's not. So Django/Django, and this is the URL. I was curious if this worked. Check the ID if the CSS file is there. So what I want to compare this against is they have a playground over here. I can't find it now. Maybe examples? Can't remember how I got to it. Inspect to find if you load prism.js. I think you're probably right. It's probably that's not getting it. All right. I mean, what was going to be the easiest way? I don't see a .css and I don't see a .js, though I feel like Webpack would automatically rename them maybe. Like that's what I was looking in the head here. Maybe we'd be able to find something. Okay, so he actually just like copied and pasted prism.css in. Select the preferred theme. I like Okadia. Hit download. Okay. What about for the JS? He just did import Prism from Prism. Oh, you know what? I don't think order matters, but I think maybe... So I think maybe we're loading the base Prism and we also need to load like the theme that we want. Hey Beepo, we are playing around with syntax highlighting with Prism.js. We're trying to get that to work right now. Okay, node modules is what I want to check. Okay, so these are all the themes that I can load. So I loaded just prism.css. I wonder if I need to load all of them. Well, not all of them, whichever one I want. What was the default one that they had? I thought that was fine. That guy liked Okadia. What should happen when we click on PNGs? I didn't really think about that. Alright, so something is definitely wrong. So today was Syntax FM's 100th episode, and at the beginning, Wes kind of issued a code challenge to figure out the total amount of time they've recorded episodes. And the first one to get a free course or whatever. Oh, that's interesting. So basically, you just write to scrape their website and find the length of every one. Grunt.js. Okay, everything is this random color. I mean, we can just try what this guy did. So we have to decide which languages we want to have in our bundle. So I did it, and it took longer than I thought it would because they literally have no info on the RSS or anything about podcast duration. So I had to sit there and learn Puppeteer, which honestly wasn't that hard. but it got working after an hour or so. Nice. So you have Puppeteer go and download the MP4 or MP3 file. React-Prism. Decent amount of people use this package. I just want to see the code for it. Oh, so these are all the packages he's created. Nice. Take me to GitHub, please. Oh, nice. You can actually just girth the duration, not even having to download it. That's a better idea. Okay. So it doesn't look like it actually does anything. Oh, your thing doesn't show up when you tweeted him? Actually, it'd be interesting to see who got it first and how long it took them to do it. Are they only giving the first person it, or is it everyone that does it? No, I think your tweet should show up no matter who you tweeted at, and doesn't matter how many followers you have. I don't think this adds anything for us because we're still gonna have to import the CSS class properly, which I don't think is what we're doing. I think what we need to do is just do it this way. So here's where we have to decide what languages we want to support. Also include the plugins. Yeah, I guess we kind of do need to take all because we're kind of the project that uses all coding languages. So we're going to have a nice fat bundle. So I'm curious, does it not download any of the languages? All right, so this is 12K minified, 4K. So core is 6, default's 2. If you include all of these themes, that's more than what the core is. I'm confused what comes with us just downloading prism.js. I'm gonna read one more article and see if everyone just downloads that. Oh, Formidable has a library. Global pollution free. Oh, you didn't get it? How many people were ahead of you? All right, let's try this language. Or this package. Nice. So we may need to include our own version of Prism if this doesn't have enough stuff. And by stuff, I mean languages. So I'm gonna remove Prismjs. Yeah, you should DM them then. Did you take like a snapshot or a screenshot when you were finished of like what time it was? Let's see, this library has been coded in TypeScript. It is not. Nope. That's sad. We could either write it ourselves. I think for now we're just gonna say everything is anything. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely important to support all of them. What I'm wondering is like we're not going to use 90% of the languages. It kind of makes sense to lazy load the more obscure languages, but that's more obscure, or that's harder to kind of to actually code that. Get line props. Get token props. Wait, was I supposed to be following them to tweet at them? No, you'd be following them to direct message them. You should be able to tweet at them no matter what. I don't think I've set one up yet. So I'm going to say @types. Oh no, I did. I call it types. No, @types is going to be different, I suppose. Nah, just merge them. You can't DM them. You should just try tweeting at them then and see if they see it. What the heck? I don't know if this is better or worse. All right, let's go back to Code Ponder. Just took a look at Prism with React, and it seems you have to call the highlight all. Oh. That would make sense. Why is it so ugly? Is this just the theme? Maybe it's this Twilight theme? Maybe it's funky? I honestly don't know what theme this is using. Oh, so the theme is a literal object. Okay, so they just picked a random, not a random theme, but they picked a theme. I was like, this didn't look like any of the themes that I got from the React. I mean, it looks so much nicer here than over here. Maybe it's just the font themselves. Kind of hurts my eyes to look at it. So I have to write my own theme. Perfect. Okay, so we stripped that one. How can we get it to use the default one? So we did that. Do I just not need to pass in the style object there? That doesn't look like it's changing anything. I'm actually not sure how to add the theme here. So do I need to import a Prism theme then? It says right here that the default theme comes bundled. So I'm confused why it's not. Yeah, it looks like we do need to. All right. Oh. I think I get it now. Maybe this? Alright, you cannot find it. They may not be including the, well, let's just see if it is including or not. Prism, oops, Prism. Okay, Prism only has a package.json. Solarized light.css. Ben, how do you test React components? Holy crap, it looks good. I've been enjoying using this library lately for testing React components. Kent Dodds made it, it's really nice. All right, boys, we're in business. It actually looks legit. See what a JSON file looks like. Yeah, it looks legit too. Thanks. High five to you as well. Break file with yarn lock. Cool. Cha-ching. Let's do line numbers. Let's see if this has anything for line numbers. It does not. So let's see what it says on Prism's website. What about markdown files? What about markdown files? Like, are we going to get syntax highlighting for them? Let's see. I see what you mean. Like, should we actually render the markdown for it? I don't think we do. I think we want to render the raw text. Yeah, they have a plugin for line numbers right here. Are you going to be using suspense, by the way? Well, the thing is we do all our data fetching using Apollo. So we're pretty much just like, if Apollo's using suspense, we're using suspense, and Apollo is not using suspense right now, so we're not using a suspense right now. A to-do would be to personalize your own theme. Just copy the CSS file and change what you want. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. That's fun. Oh, all their little code examples follow what we pick here. You have to add data start? What is that about? Huh. Oh, I see. So it starts, you can just have it start on negative. Oh, and here's wrapping. I believe GitHub just has a scroll bar for really long text. I don't know where I'm going to pull up really long text, so we'll have to look at that later. Yep, we still want line numbers. Cool. What I'm going to do real quick is just see if there's a thing about how to write it with this library. Nope. And I'm just going to see if they have any mention of themes and whatnot. It does not look like it. So what that means is we're going to have to actually read this code and see what it's doing, and then I mean, option one is to just copy paste this in, right? Coders like dark themes. Yes, they do. Yeah, I mean, I might switch this. We can easily just swap this out for a different theme right here. I'm a fan of solarized. I don't know why they don't have solarized dark. Alright, we also have to include this CSS. I don't see any reason to like rewrite this ourselves. I bet there's like a Prism line numbers npm, but we can just import this as a, I feel like we can import this as an npm package. All right, so step 1 is importing that. Do I also need to add like the CSS for it? All right, not seeing a visible change yet. From Prism, add class line numbers to your desired pre and line numbers plugin will take care, but we want it to be better. Well, what we can do is we can, what we could do is you could just pick what theme you wanted based on like a setting as well. Okay, so we have to actually change something on the pre tag here. Do we add it to like the class names? So they did this data start. Okay, they just add it to the class name. Okay, we have line numbers added. Okay, so we're missing something still. So we did this import. I wonder if we have to like call it or something. Nope. I actually couldn't get more upset. Looking at different people's answers, they all found the episode duration in RSS. I'm using Firefox, so it renders as a page instead of XML, which I didn't even think about. Oh, dang. I have to download. So I was seeing if I can avoid downloading and like manually like adding the CSS/JavaScript files, importing them, because I think we should be able to set it up pretty easily this way. But we're running into troubles. If we can't, that's what we'll end up doing. What is this polyfill? But is this not... So do I have to download something else besides the plugin? I don't think require syntax is what we need. We could try this. I mean, is there a way for us just to download the plugin? Okay, yeah, that's still broke. The other thing is... I'm not sure what we're missing from importing it just like that. About trying to import the CSS from line numbers. So when I did an ls, just kidding, I'm a noob. You're right. For some reason, I was thinking there wasn't a CSS file there, but I think you're definitely right. Okay, so it still didn't do it. I did save it. I don't think the order would matter what we load in. I see line numbers still there. I wonder if the token lines are messing things up. Dang, look at all those spans. Let's read over the plugin one more time. So we imported the JavaScript. The line number CSS is appearing in the inspect is not. You're saying it's not appearing in the inspect? Oh, like when we did it right here. What is this data source thing? So we didn't add the data source tag. Yeah, you're right. We're not getting the dot. We're not getting the CSS still. So language JavaScript. We also have this Prism code. What happens if we delete this? What is this offering? Doesn't look like that was adding anything. Alright, so it looks like this import just does not work for some reason. It's actually only a couple lines of CSS. Yeah. The other thing is I can, oh, so when I did a hard refresh there, I saw everything shift over. And now I do see the line numbers. Nice. So you're right, that's what we needed there. Alright, so it looks like we have the CSS in place for it, but it doesn't look like the JavaScript is working. I'm gonna just try restarting next. Maybe that's what's also messing things up. It's because we've been hot reloading. Nope. I mean, could just try putting that in. I don't know what that does. I feel like they probably have a JavaScript class, or it's probably what their JavaScript function probably looks for the data source maybe. I kind of feel like it's not going to do anything for us. Doesn't. The other thing I could try here is putting a Prismjs in front. Because that's the path that we were using. Nope. Try to play with the CSS on the side of the browser. You think it's the CSS? I think the CSS is fine. I think the JavaScript is not doing what it should be doing. Because I see the dot line numbers here, so we're definitely getting the CSS for it now. The difference, and like you see how it's tabbed over. Ours is tabbed over as well. The only difference is these numbers are not showing up. Actually, how did those numbers appear? Do those numbers appear with CSS? Yeah, it looks like they are. Look, they're doing this thing where they're incrementing. So it does look like we should be getting the CSS. We're missing the CSS that's generating that. Sometimes it's nice to have someone to talk the code while I work. Yeah, I would agree with that. It is nice. Alright, so they have this counter reset line number. We have it too. So let's read the CSS real quick and see what's actually adding it. Counter increment line number. No, it looks like they're adding in the JavaScript maybe. Alright, right now I'm leaning towards it's a problem with our JavaScript not getting imported in properly. I'm just curious what this looks like if I log the JS. Alright, it's an empty object, which could make sense if it was a function. Do you have a counter incrementer in your CSS? Yeah, I do. I think it's the JS that. Okay, let's see what happens if I remove the JS. Just curious if anything looks different. Try require. I mean, we could try require. I don't think require is going to make the change, make the difference here. Okay, that guy looked like he was using jQuery. Put in the HTML as a script tag and finish with that. Well, we're getting the, well, that's one thing we could check real quick, is if we're getting the right JS. Should be equivalent to doing that. Here's the function that we're importing. Plugin name. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't even bother with trying to get this and just add it to the script tags. But this is like a little bit cleaner. I like it if we can get it to work like this. Because the other thing is I don't want to add this globally. Well, no, that's fine. I can use a header. I can use a head to add it just to the header of this file. Yeah, it's a counter increment in the CSS for a span add by the JS. So do you think that my JS one is not working or my CSS one is not working? I think the CSS one is loading correctly, at least it looks like it is. Is it renaming it for me? Like, what's going on? Let's look for the dot line numbers rows. Maybe because the script is called before the HTML is loaded. Do you think that's the problem? I guess that could be a thing. Would it be hacky to write this yourself? Just select all the tokens, spread into the array instead of the DOM list and use the index as before. I mean, we could write this ourselves, but I'd rather have them do it. Line numbers. Let me just see if I can find this line of code in the dot line numbers slash rows. Actually, nothing really exciting in the chunks here. Cool. So it is importing the JS and it is getting called. In regular, you need to put it in the bottom of the body. All right, I mean, I'm at the point where let's just try using a script and see if that does it. Must be a problem with the React or Next.js lifecycle hook. You can get the file if you inspect it. Does React Prism have any kind of padding CSS for the highlight component? So I think the React Prism one, it does add this Prism code. That's the only thing that is different, but that doesn't seem to be affecting it. I mean, the other thing we could try is we have it broken up by lines. I think theirs is... So also when me downloading this, it looks like we're not going to be able to just download a single plugin. It looks like it comes mixed in. So I don't really want to do that. Do we want to do that? Like, I think actually what I can do is I can just cat this. Whoops. All right, this is not really where I want to store it, but I'm just gonna put it here to try it. Actually, I don't even know how to do a script tag. Like, I don't even know how to set up a script tag like this in Next.js, where it's like, I wanted to do this JS file right there. I don't know if I do a relative path like that. I kind of feel like I'm not sure if that works. That kind of feels like, I'm not sure. I'll just see if there's anything about Prism and Next.js. It would just be server-side rendering. I don't think there'd be a problem with it. Yeah, I actually don't think this script in the head's really going to work for us for the way that our project's set up. I think trying to get it working by importing it like this is how we want to do it. But one thing we can try is we can say use effect and import this dynamically. Why don't you put the code in a function and call it in component did mount? That could probably work actually. I think that's pretty much the same thing as, yeah, I think that's equivalent to doing this, I think. This looks like it's just a TypeScript problem. I think that's totally fine. That shouldn't be stopping it if this were to work. Nothing in the console telling us it's not working. All right, so instead of calling the function, we're gonna say export const prism line numbers. So I think I actually may know what the problem is. Just hit me. Just kidding. I was thinking maybe we didn't have allow.js set in our TS config, but it looks like we do. Okay. What the heck? I think the easiest thing is if we can find a working example. Oh, this was going to show you guys the one where we can pick a language and see what it looks like. Anyway, that doesn't matter now. Oh, you know, it's already in a CDN. Yeah, let's try that. Create the lines yourself, just kidding. Why? Why not? I mean, might as well try a CDN thing and see if it works. It'll be interesting to at least see. We don't have to actually end up doing this. I'm not sure what. All right, so we're gonna do unpackage.com. Put it at the end of the body. Okay. I mean, I don't think it's going to matter in our React code if it's at the bottom of the head. So for us, it's going to be Prismjs. And I guess we're just going to copy the all right, so that's a thing. Still. Yeah, we just have something like royally messed up. Do you think that CDN link is better than this one? In the use effect, you put an empty array. Does that render after the render like componented amount? I did ask this because I call Windows only give access to the componented amount. Yeah, so the purpose of doing this is it's only going to be called once, similar to when component did mount, and then also it's going to be called when it's unmounting. Okay, so I think we can, I have a feeling like this doesn't have to do with me. Or I don't mean me, but the way I'm importing it. I think this may have to do with possibly what we do here. So what I'm going to try is just to comment that out. Yeah, I'm just going to comment out. I'm trying to decide if I want to keep any of it. Alright, so the class name here is going to be, and we can just use the shorthand lang. It's an interesting warning. Why did it change the font size when I said language instead of lang? Okay, something with hot module reloading. And what happens if I import it like that? Nothing changed. Alright, what happens if I don't include the head? What the heck? So that worked, but no syntax. This is so weird. So we were trying this a while ago. So I guess the CDN thing was not working. Alright. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on at this point, guys, either. Alright. So, really the last thing we have to figure out is how the heck we get the syntax highlighting to show up. So whenever we imported that library, it seemed to work. So I'm wondering if instead of importing Prism, if we import this library, that'll work. Hot module reloading is just not working right now. Alright. I have no idea why this is not highlighting now. I mean, it could mean it can't recognize the extension, but I don't think that was the problem. All right, let's just look at the. All right, so we get language JSON. Let's just do a hard reload. Oh, you know what? We're not importing the main prism.js now anymore. I think it's that. Oh, yeah, let's try your comment from before and call highlight all. That's a good point. Let me just make sure we're importing the CSS correctly, and then we'll try that. Themes prism.css. Okay, we are correctly importing this. We can see if this guy's defined. I think we should maybe just get him from here then. This is a popular package, so I'm guessing it's gonna have some definitions, and I am right. You would think this would be easier to use. Either I'm just looking in the wrong places. What? Not defined. Cannot find a DLL. Is it the actual dot highlight that's causing that? Yeah, it is. Highlights for node. What the heck are we doing wrong now? I feel like we're very close. So this could be it. I didn't add the class. To the code tag. So, oh, maybe that's what I was doing wrong all along. Maybe the class name is supposed to be line numbers for the pre tag and for the code tag. Nope. Without using the star, we need to use this. Why is it adding a space? We need the star for TypeScript to like it, and I don't think that's the problem. It looks like it's getting imported just fine. I'm not really sure how to handle this particular error. We're so close now. I don't understand why it's adding this awkward space here. Also, I totally got rid of that here. We're just gonna restart next. Yeah, I think it does have to do something with server-side rendering, but I'm not sure what I needed to change. The other thing is I feel like it may have just gotten messed up with Next. Like if you're using Next for a while, things get messed up. This doesn't look like it's that the case though. Okay, so this pre-tag has language JSON, and so does this. How is that appearing? So like, what if I don't include you? Maybe Prism adds it. They may just add it to the pre-tag and that's what's happening. Alright, so let's compare what we're missing. See, look, they have this space in front of it too, so that's fine. Alright, so they have the code class. Are we getting that? We are. And they should also be getting something related to SVG. So they would add that Prism code class. No. I mean, what I could do is I could figure out what the heck this highlight is doing. Okay, so we can get one working with not highlight and one with. Maybe we need to split it out by token, and we're not doing that right now. I think that's what it is actually. I think that's exactly what it is. I think we need to split by token possibly. Split by new line. Oh, it's maybe undefined there. What do you mean space, or space is nothing? This is such a weird problem. Okay, it should be called token line. Oh, so are you thinking maybe we should add the space ourselves there? I don't think the space there makes a difference. This doesn't really affect whether you can find an element like by the class. I mean, maybe it could be worthwhile trying to read some of the source code of the formidable. Yeah, I don't know. We've hit sort of a little bit of a wall here, and what I like to do when this happens is just take a break. So I think we'll end the stream here today, and then we'll come back tomorrow and try some different stuff with it. We're very close to getting it. There's just like an option that we're not ticking. We're doing something really silly probably. And then it should be working pretty easily. It's odd that we can get half of it working with highlight and half of it working like this. No, it doesn't look like they break it out by div. I don't think we have to do that. I think it should handle it for us. I think this is the way to go as opposed to trying to do stuff with this highlight. What did I do? I know why the numbers are not working in the second case. How come? curious what the default props are. Maybe there's something we should be passing in. Maybe we need to pass in a plugin and add, like, import the plugin. When you are splitting, you break them logic of lines. Yeah, we break it up per line, you mean? Yeah. I mean, we're just following the example, yeah. So what should we do instead? Are they actually calling Prism in here? Prism lib. Normalized tokens. Okay, so they're calling prism.tokenize. So they actually are just calling. The example is without line numbers. The Prism one, this one. We just did this usage here. It doesn't really say. Oh, it does. Try in your browser. What? They are doing line numbers. Okay. This is perfect. That means we can get it working because they got it working. Never mind. I feel like the React simple editor added it. You need to add a line property to the object you're passing. Well, what I'm guessing is this editor, the simple code editor, is adding the line numbers there. What do you mean by you found it here? Should apply to any. We're passing in both a line and a key. Are you saying like we should be passing in line numbers here? That could be a thing, actually. When you say we can add the lines ourselves, you just mean we can add like the line, like for example, we can add like the index like that. Is that what they're doing here? No, they're not. I think the editor is, I mean, this kind of works. We could just do it like this and then like add like spacing to it. I don't think we're gonna do line wraps, so that would work okay. Were we supposed to do this all along? Yeah, thank you for the idea though. I think this should work out. I think I'm gonna do a span so it doesn't drop to a new line. Okay, if I have margin right, that won't work. Save yourself time. Save myself time and do what? Oh, do it myself. No, that's the opposite of saving time. So real quickly, I just want to inspect this. It's funny that they're doing line numbers here, but they're using that simple editor thing to do it. Okay, I messed this up. There we go. All right, here's token lines. Here's 3. You see how this is a class name that looks like that? And this is a class name. Token plain. That tells me that this is a styled component class. Or a styled, yeah, styled component class. And this is coming from something else probably. So I think this is coming from this editor. All right. Actually, I don't know. I don't see line numbers on their little example here. I don't know. I think I'm just going to end the stream here, and then we'll decide how we want to do this tomorrow. It's between these two. I kind of like the idea of just setting this up and not using this highlight one, because this highlight one's kind of weird. I don't know. We're going to do a little bit more investigation and figure it out. Know what? I'm getting tired. Yeah, alright guys. they put the line of code in. We could definitely get this working without us putting it in ourselves. They pass the key in. The other thing is, the reason why I want Prism to handle it as well is because we're going to be adding possibly other plugins, and so I want the plugins to play nice with each other. And if we're the ones adding it, like this particular one, yeah. Like, I don't know, if we add something like this where it just adds a random thing in there, I feel like that's going to break any solution that we set up. And so it's one of those things where I want to get the plugin working. That way it'll work with the other plugins. Because they have a ton of plugins we can add. Anyway, we'll decide this tomorrow. Thanks for watching today, guys. I'm going to end it here.